Hey folks, welcome to the very first Master That Solo lesson, which is a brand new series here on the Master the Guitar channel. Something I've been wanting to do for a very long time, but thanks to my Patrons over at Patreon, basically they've got enough supporters there now to free up the time to do these kind of lessons. And those guys have actually voted for the very first solo, which is going to be, of course, Back at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne with Jakey Lee on guitar. So there's obviously two solos in the song. There's the main solo and there's the outro solo. So we'll look at the main solo, we'll break it down into phrases, and of course then we'll look at the outro. I'm in standard tuning for this. Jakey Lee was using his Strat that was rebranded a Charvel at the time for recording this. Got a little bit of a flanger effect on it. But I'm all standard tuning, so I'm E, A, D, G, B, and then E. And the first phrase sounds like this. This part of the song's all in D minor. A lot of it's A minor up to this point, but the solo's in D minor. And what we're playing off with here is basically around about your D pentatonic minor shape at the 10th fret. Jakey Lee spends quite a bit of time around about here playing lots of bluesy rock kind of phrases. And this first phrase, what we're going to do is start off with playing 13th fret of that B string. And I'm going to play it and I'm going to give it a lot of vibrato here. This is one of the great things about Jakey Lee's playing. It's got that real good wide rock kind of vibrato. So when you hit this note, 13th fret of the B string, give it a good wiggle, yeah? I'm also digging in a little bit there. You can hear a lot of the notes of the solo that Jakey Lee is meaning every single one of them. So when you hit that note, make sure you hit it. So you play that note and let it count for 3 beats. Then what you're going to do is do a slow whole step bend on it, with vibrato at the end of it as well. And this is the thing that really makes these notes pop out. If you were doing that, you know, it's flat, you know, it doesn't have the kind of excitement to it, so you want to add this vibrato. So after that whole step bend, we have something that sounds like this. Okay, so I'm coming down my pentatonic minor here, so I'm going to play 10 in the high string, then 13, 10 in the B string. Then I'm going to do a bend, 12th fret of that G string. So it's a whole step bend. Then I release the bend, pull off to 10th fret there with the first finger, okay? So finger wise, you know, you could use all 3 fingers, you know, like that, or the 4th finger. Yeah, but once you do the pull off, I play 12 again in the G string, then I'm going to play 10th fret of that G again, but I play a pinch harmonic now. And so with that sort of pitch you're aiming for, so you can see it's kind of midpoint here on my guitar, just above the middle pickup, but you want kind of midpoint between your pickups. Okay, and that has a bit of vibrato on it, so it kind of goes, yeah, then you have this little melodic fragment. So what I'm going to do here is shift down to 9th fret in the G string, and that's like a little 9th interval we've added to our pentatonic minor. Yeah, sweet interval, but basically I play that 9, 10, 9. Then I'm going to do a pull off 10 to 9, then 12th fret of the D string there, I use my 4th finger. Yeah, then I play 9 on the G string again, then 10 in the D, then I'm going to slide 10 to 12 in that D string with the same finger. Okay, so slowly that goes. Again, vibrato on that last note. Okay, so that whole opening phrase slow sounds like this. So this next little phrase, we have the little sequencing through a D pentatonic minor, so we're still in this kind of E form with D pentatonic minor here. We actually start on the and of beat 4 with this, so we're kind of doing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like that, okay? And this first little phrase sounds like this. So what I'm doing is I'm playing 10 to 12 on the A string with the first or third finger. Then I'm going to do 10 on the D string and then 12 on the A string. So it's kind of like a little pedal note thing with this 12th fret of the A string here, this A note. Then I'm going to do 12th fret of the D and then 12th fret of the A. So fingering wise, you can see I change. I'm going to do 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2. You might get away with barring with the third finger. I tend not to bar with the third finger, but you could do it like that. And then you end it by doing 10, 12 in the D string. Okay. Then we play 10 on the G. Then we do 12th fret of that G string. So this is kind of like we did in the first phrase. I'm going to bend up whole step in the 12th fret of that G string with the third finger. Bring it back down, pull off to 10, and then play 12th fret of the G string again. Vibrato on that end note there. So slowly that goes. Okay, then we end off with this. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to slide, probably when I'm doing this bend here, kind of slide off and then slide up. I use my middle finger to slide up to the 14th fret G string here. First finger plays 13th fret B. Then I'm going to put my third finger on the 15th fret, the high E string. I do a whole step bend in that. Notice I'm supporting that with the first and second finger so I can get a nice control of the bend. And also put the vibrato on it, which is vitally important, okay? So slowly that goes. Okay, whole phrase. So here basically, I've got this bend that I've just done, you know. I'm going to pick it again and play a release bend. And then play 13th fret of the high E string there. So you have this pre-bend, basically, and you pick it. Then you have this little phrase, which is basically a mirror of this. Yeah, but we have a little hammer and pull off now. So I'm going to do a hammer and pull off 12 to 13 and back. Then play 15th fret of the B string. Then I play 12 on the high E. Then 13 on that B string. And then play 13 again, sliding to 15. Okay, a little melodic phrase like that. Then we end off with this. So I'm playing kind of almost like a little minor 7 arpeggio here. So I'm going to play 13, 15 on that B string. Notice I use my first and second finger here because I'm going to do a little pull off 17 to 13 on the high E string. I use my fourth, the first finger there. And I go back to that root note of D. Like that. So that whole phrase goes like this. So this next phrase is all based around this kind of area. Kind of D minor type of little triad and all the notes round about it. And it's quite an interesting kind of phrasing to it. So we start off with, we've just done this of course. Yeah, let me do this. Okay, so I'm doing 13, 15 in the B string, first to second. And then 13th in that high E string. And that's the way I'd kind of phrase it. Then I have this. Okay, now this little phrase, it's interesting because we're going to hit a note twice. But I'm going to do a pull off 17 to 13, 15 to 13 in that high E string. Fourth finger to first. Pull off, pull off. Okay, then I have this little bit 17 in the B string. Then 13 again in the high E string. Then I go back to 17 in the B string. But after I do that, okay, I do the 17 to 13 pull off in the B string. And I played 14th fret of that G string there. So what you end up doing is playing this note twice on the B string at the 17th fret. So slowly it goes. Yeah. Okay. And once I've done that, then I have another one of these. I play 17 in the B, and then 14 on the G, 13 on the B string there. So I use my 4th finger, 2nd, 1st, then I play 15th fret that B string there, so your root note. Yeah, and what I'm going to do when I hit that is I'm going to bend up 1.5 steps. So I'm bending up to the minor 3rd. Then once I've done that, I release it, pull off to 13th fret and play 15th fret again with the 3rd finger but with a pinch harmonic. Again, it's round about midpoint. Now notice when I'm doing this 1.5 step bends, it's quite a big bend, so I'm supporting it again with all these fingers. And again, vibrato on that last note to make it scream. So slowly this kind of phrase, it's kind of weird, but it sounds like this. So for this phrase, we're back into our D pentatonic minor at the 10th fret. Yeah, and there's typical little bluesy sort of rock stuff here. So I start off 13th fret B string, 3rd finger, bend up a whole step. Classic, just like we started the solo. Then I play this. So I'm playing 10 in the high string, 13, 10 in the B string. Then I'm going to bend 12th fret that G string, whole step up, okay? Then I'm going to bar the 10th fret at the B and E strings, play those notes. Then I'm going to do a pull off 13 to 10 in the B string, pull off 12 to 10 in the G string. Yeah. Then immediately after that I'm going to bend up. This is quite a quick bend up and down and pull off. So it's up, down, pull off to 10th fret that G string there. Then I play 12 in the D. I can use my 2nd finger here. 12 in the G. That's a little staccato feel there, and then it's 10th fret, the G string with a pinch harmonic. And then I finish it up with playing 12, 10 in the D string. Okay. Actually, probably 12, 10, 12. To end that little kind of root note there. So slowly that whole thing goes. Okay. Next phrase sounds like this. So for this phrase, we're pretty much playing D natural minor on this D string here. That's my root note. Being able to see your D natural minor scale along that string is really, really handy for this. Because all you've done basically is you're going to start playing that kind of flat 7 interval with the 1st finger. So it's like 10th fret the D string. Then I'm going to play 8 on the D string. Lots of vibrato. Then I'm going to do 7, 5 on that string as well. Notice I'm playing all this with the 1st finger. Then I'm going to slide up with the 3rd finger to the 10th fret there. Then I play 8, 10 for that phrase. So altogether it goes like this. Okay, and that leads into the next phrase, which sounds like this. So the next phrase is a nice bit of bluesy double stop. So from here, I'm going to take the 3rd finger and slide from 10 to 12. It's like a grace note slide. And what I'm going to do is bar the 10th fret of the G and B strings, the 10th fret with this 1st finger. Play the 10th fret bar, then 12th fret of the D string again. Then I go up to 10th fret, and I'm going to take the G and B's at the G and B strings at the 12th fret and do a little half step double stop, kind of bend up and down. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. You could use 3rd and 4th fingers, 2nd and 3rd fingers like I do. You could take your 3rd finger and kind of smear the strings down, if you will. But you might find a bit more control with this, like a pair of fingers. So basically you do a bend down and pull off. So you're kind of mimicking what you were doing with these phrases, but with 2 strings. Okay. So it goes. So you up and down, pull off, and then 12th fret that D string. Then we go. So I do a little 12, double stop on the G and B strings, then a 10. I'm using my 3rd and 1st finger there. Then I'm going to do a pull off 12 to 10 in the D string, and then 12th fret the D string with vibrato. Kind of end the phrase. So slowly it goes. So we're now at the classic climax of the solo. It's an awesome bit of kind of building up, sequencing through a scale, building up with a kind of nice, real big high note at the end. So what Jakey Lee is doing for most of this is sequencing through the D natural minor scale, but he starts at different points through that scale. Now, the first chord that we're playing over is a B flat. So what Jakey Lee does is he plays D natural minor scale up here around about the 5th fret. So we've got a pattern that looks like this. And what he's doing here is he's starting on that B flat note, so the 6th fret of the E string. Now, the sequence that we're going to play here is in little groups of 4. But what he does is he pan mutes kind of most of the lower strings to control it, I guess, give it a bit more of a punchy feel. But when he gets up to the higher strings, like the G and the B strings, doesn't have a pan mute there, so it dynamically pops out a little bit more. Yeah, so when you're playing this, aim for that, aim for pan mutes on the wound strings, and when you get to the plain strings, you know, let them sing a little bit more. So the sequence I'm going to be playing here, little groups of 4. First group of 4 goes like this: 6, 5, 6, 8 in the E string. Okay. Now, as I said, you can play that with pan mute. Now, the interesting thing about this, and this took me, I wouldn't say I'm 100% comfortable with this yet, actually. This is really awkward for the way I pick, and you might find it awkward as well. And the reason for that is you're playing this group of 4 sequence across these strings, and the inside-outside picking thing's changing all the time. So when you do this first bit, the next group of 4 is 5 in the A string, 8 in the E string, then 5, 7 in the A string. If you're using strict alternate picking there, you'd be doing down up from the A string to the E string, which is a little inside pick, which can feel a little awkward. Okay. Next little sequence is 8, 7, 8 on the A string, and then 5 in that D string, and that's an outside pick as you go across those strings there. So this whole sequence really works on those 2 areas of alternate picking, and most people tend to be comfortable with one of them compared to the other. So take your time with it. Okay, so that was that sequence. Next sequence is 7, 5, 7, 8 in the D string. Okay, then I'm going to do 5 on the G string, 8 on the D, and then 5, 7 in the G string. Middle finger here because I'm coming at it from this little shape. Okay, and then I've got my last little group of 4, which is 9, 7, 9 in the G string. First finger plays 6th fret of the B string, and then I end it off by taking that 6th fret and sliding it to the 8th fret with the first finger. Good bit of vibrato there, you know, so that's your kind of full stop for that little phrase. So slowly it goes like this. Okay, and that's all over that B flat. Then what happens is the B flat shifts up a tone to a C chord, and Jakey Lee just shifts the sequence up. So now he's playing the same scale, but he's going to start from the note C. Now the place to keep the picking the same across the strings, you just shift up basically. So we're now with our first finger at the 6th fret, but I like to think of these 3 note per string patterns from my middle finger. So my middle finger is at that 8th fret here, and this pattern we've got here goes like this. Yeah, so you get 6, 8, 10 in the E, then 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10 in the A and D, 7, 9, 10 in the G, 8, 10 in the B string. Okay, same thing, pan muted on the wound strings, let it breathe, pop out a little bit more on the top, and same little group of 4, so the picking's the same, it's just our finger placement's different. So we've got 8, 10, sorry, 8, 6, 8, 10 on the E string, then we're going to do 7 on the A, 10, then back to that 7, so 10 in the E string, back to the 7 here, and then 8. Then I'm going to do 10, 8, 10 on the A string, 7 in the D string. Okay, then I'm going to do 8, 7, 8, 10 in the G string. Okay, then I'm going to do 7 in the G, 10 in the D, and then 7, 9 on that G string. Then I'm going to do 10, 9, 10 in the G with the fourth finger. The first finger plays 8th fret of the B string, and then I'm going to slide again just like the first sequence. 8 to 10, lots of vibrato on that 10. So slowly it goes like this. actually changed it to an A minor now, but the sequence goes up another step. So now we have a full D natural minor, and this one kind of continues. So the momentum, you've got this kind of, then you get the same sort of sequence, and then this sequence goes on for a little bit longer, and then you have the big fast bit towards the kind of climax at the end. So what you're doing here pattern wise is something that looks like this. Okay, so this is like a D natural minor scale, but your middle finger's playing the root note, 10th fret, that E string. And with these 3-note string shapes here, particularly when you're in the low strings, think of anchoring it from the middle finger and reaching back with the first finger, rather than thinking first finger and reaching forward. It helps with the kind of stretch. So that's the notes that we're playing. We're playing 8, 10, 12 in the E, A and D strings, 9, 10, 12 in the G, 10, 11, 13 in the B, 10, 12 in high E. Okay, and what we do is we take our picking sequence that we're doing and go all the way through that. So we've got 10, 8, 10, 12 in the E string, then 8 in the A, 12 in the E, 8, 10 on the A. Then we've got 12, 10, 12 in the A, 8 in the D. Yeah. Next little pattern is 10, 8, 10, 12 in the D string. Yeah. Then we have 9 on the E string, then 12 on the D, 9, 10. Then we do 12, 10, 12 in the G string. And my first finger plays 10th fret, the B string there. So I'm doing like 4, 2, 4 first finger. Yeah. Then from here I'm going to do 11, 10, 11, 13 on that B string. Okay. Then from here what I'm going to do is 10, 13, so it's 10 in the high E string, 13 in the B, and then 10, 12 in the high E string. Okay, so the whole thing slowly goes. Okay. Next phrase is the fast picking phrase, and it sounds like this. So what we're doing here is a very fast picked kind of phrase that leads basically from your 10th fret area, D natural minor, all the way up to this kind of A note up here as we change back into the key of A minor for the rest of the tune again. So what we've got here, if I look at it in little 6-note patterns, what we're doing on the B and A strings is 13, 12, 10, 13, 11, 10. Okay, next little shape is going to be 15, 13, 12 on the E string, then 15, 13, 11 in the B string. Yeah. Then we've got 17, 15, 13 in both the E and the B strings. And then our last little group of 6 is 18, 17, 15 on the E and the B strings. Okay, so that's your kind of notes. What we're doing picking wise here, or pattern, is we're coming down 6 notes from the E string to the B string, going down those 6, and then basically going back up. So rhythmically, I mean, this is a kind of fast flourish, so I wouldn't worry too much about the precision of the rhythm here. It's more the kind of phrasing of it, but you're wanting to get these notes, a high note that you're kind of aiming for here is going to be landing on the beat. So basically what I'm doing here is I'm coming down 6, and if you're doing your alternate picking, you know, down, up, down, you know, and then from here I go 11, 13, 10, 12, 13, back up. So I've notated it's like a group of 6 and a group of 5. I'm sure at that tempo, if you really slow it down, there may be some notes getting doubled and things, but this is kind of a nice rhythmical framework to kind of work to. So you're coming down, okay, then you go up and do your 15, 13, 12, 15, 13, 11 in the B string. Okay, then you go up to your 17, 15, 13 shape. Okay, then you get your 18, 17, 15 thing. But the last bit, I would go, when you're coming back up, do 15, 18 on the high E string to end with that 17. Okay, so the pattern slightly changes there. So slowly it goes like this. Lots of vibrato in that last note. Okay, now this is quite fast, this little bit, so you could take a little group of 6 and just kind of work at it. You know, a little bit rough there, but it's fine. You're aiming for the phrasing of it, you know, so the accents on those higher notes, and that's the kind of phrasing that you want to go for it. Okay, and that's it. That's the first solo. So there's loads of stuff in there, loads of licks. A lot of it is, you can see, it's all D minor, D pentatonic minor, D natural minor. You've got a lot of these kind of bluesy, kind of rock kind of licks, and paired together with these 3-note per string things. You know, in the 80s, a lot of the guys were going to shred their face off these with the kind of patterns that were coming into the playing. So there's lots of great techniques and stuff to work on there. So the outro solo to Bark at the Moon is a classic bit of kind of rock guitar playing. And I think why it's so popular is because these arpeggios that Jakey Lee's playing really underpin what's going on in the harmony. Plus they're played in such a way that it's really, really melodic and really kind of catchy, you know. So what we're actually playing over harmonically here is a chord progression that does A minor, it does G, it's an F, it's an E. So it's a standard kind of A minor descent thing. And over each of those chords, Jakey Lee's playing a little arpeggio, a little 2-string arpeggio, but he plays it in a really cool way. And there's a video of him, you know, talking about why he did that. He wanted the notes to kind of sound similar, to be in the same strings, plus he wanted it to kind of open up as inversions. But I'll talk about what's going on. So the first little bar over the A minor chord sounds like this. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm doing a pull off 13 to 12 on the B string with the second to first finger, and I'm playing 14th fret the G string, then 12 again on that B string. So what you've got is you've got this, basically this is A minor, so the 14th fret is your root note, that 13th fret is like your minor third, and then the B is like a 9th. So you're kind of coming down, you know, the first 3 notes of an A minor, basically, scale. And the little sequence, that little group of 4, what we then do is play the 13, 12, 13, 12 pull off twice. And then we do it again, which gives you your 16 notes. So slowly it goes like this. Okay, now playing this at speed, again, if you were doing your kind of strict alternate picking, this bit would be like a downstroke, then a down, then an upstroke, then 2 downstrokes, downstroke, upstroke. Yeah. So you're doing a lot of little outside pick there. Because of the way I pick, I'd start a lot of things with upstroke, so I end up kind of doing, I kind of do something like that. Yeah, so again, it's just trying to take it slowly to get the accuracy in your picking, and then you can work it up to speed, you know, playing along with a track or using a metronome, whatever. Over the G chord, the notes change. So now I'm playing 15th fret of the B string, 12th fret of the B string, 12th fret of the G string. Okay, and that's a standard, that's just like a G major arpeggio, so it's your root on the 12, major third on the B string 12, and then you get your 5th. So he's just playing a major triad here, but it's the same pattern. The thing that's awkward here is probably using the bar on the 12th fret of the B and G strings. What you want to watch out for is it ringing too much together. Now, because of the tempo it's being played, it might not pop out as much, but you might find yourself doing a little rocking motion to get the bar. Yeah, exactly the same picking pattern as we did for the A minor section. Now over the F chord, Jakey Lee does something that's very, very Jakey Lee-like. He's a big fan of lots of stretchy stuff. That's why he uses his thumb for doing a lot of things. So what we're doing here is we're basically playing kind of, the interval's like a root fifth and the major 7 over this F. And the way he plays it is like this. So you got a bit of a stretch going on here. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to be playing 17th fret of that E string with the B string with the 4th finger. And that's a major 7 interval over the F. Yeah. My second finger is playing 13th fret of the B. Yeah, so that's a big stretch straight away. And then my first finger is playing the root note on the G string. Now sometimes you would have seen kind of notated like that, but the reason why J.K. Lee does it like this is to keep, as he said, you know, it's on the same string, so tonally it's the same, and it also opens up a little bit. And to be honest, it looks a bit flashier as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if that entered his mind too. So what we're doing here is the same pattern. Now to get that stretch, obviously because I'm sitting down, it's a little bit awkward, but I drop my thumb way down, so my thumb's way down at the underside of the fingerboard there to get the stretch. Plus this has got a, you know, this whole strat neck's pretty chunky. Okay, and what I'm doing, keep that stretch, same pattern. Yeah, so that, a little bit awkward, but then we move down over the E chord. So I'm playing 15-12 on the B string, and then my root note is 9th fret, that G string now. Yeah, so you can hear the harmony here. It's really quite cool. That's your root and 5th, and then your 7th, minor 7th in this case, because it's like an E7, and in this case it's like a major 7. Okay, so once we've finished with our little arpeggio over the E chord, we pretty much do the arpeggios again over the A minor, over the G, over the F, and then we end with the little phrase that sounds like this. Okay, note wise I've got 13-12 on the E string, 15-13-12 on the B string, 14-12 in the G, 14 in the D string. So it's a little kind of A minor. Okay, so what I'm going to do, little groups of 4 notes. The first 4 notes, 13-12 pull off in the high E string, 15 in the B, back up to 12 in the high E string. Okay, next little group of 4 notes. So I play 15 in the B again, pull off 13-12 on the B string, 14 on that G string for your root note. So it goes. Okay, next little group of 4 notes is a hammer and pull off 12-13 and back, 14 on the G string. Yeah, then next 4 notes are 12 in the B, pull off 14-12, 14 on that D string. Okay, so slowly it goes. Okay, and the tricky thing here about you're in this position is you want to go back, and I'm using my 3rd finger here so I can get back into the repetition where I go back into those arpeggios. So we basically repeat all that again, but just the second repetition after you've done this, you end 14th fret the G string, lots of vibrato, just to kind of hit the root note to kind of close it off. So if I play through the whole thing kind of once with the kind of ending, so the second repetition, it sounds like this. Okay, and that's it. It's an awesome bit of guitar. It's just the kind of melodic nature of it because you're playing all these lovely chord tones over the harmony. Plus it just ends, which gives it just a brilliant way to kind of end the tune. And that's it. That's the 2 main solos from Bark at the Moon. Lots of stuff to be working on with there. I want to say a huge thanks to everyone on the Patreon page for suggesting this. We've got another one lined up as well that was kind of voted for in the poll. If you're interested in getting the Helix patch for this song, or interested in the tone, how I come up with the tone, or how J.K. Lee, the equipment he was using, what effects he was using to get the sound on the song, you can check out the Patreon kind of tiers for that, you know, if you want to be a member of that. You also get access to a little bit more of an in-depth lesson where there's lesson materials Backing tracks, basically to practice the solo over, with be able to speed it up and slow it down, so you can practice on the individual phrases as well, and work up the speed to them. Of course, you get the tab and Guitar Pro as well. And you get all that in your own kind of web page, basically through the Patreon feed. So if you enjoyed this lesson, please like. If you're not subscribed, you want to see more. Plus, you know, obviously riff lessons, Master That Riff is still going, but we'll be going ahead with more of these Master That Solo lessons. So if you have any suggestions, if you're a Patreon member, you get to basically suggest what solos you would like to see. So the guys are already over there. I've got plenty of ideas, so if you want to kind of chime in with that, you can do so. But please, you know, subscribe to the channel, check out the other videos, have fun with that, and I shall see you hopefully soon.